Hello everyone and welcome to my first PC build video. I've never built a PC before, and in this video I show you how I built my first PC step by step with all the parts, everything that's included. I literally just took maybe a couple weeks in January to do all the research and I built a magnificent machine. So without any further ado, we're going to get to the video. But before that, can you please like, subscribe and share this video with anyone else who is looking to build their first PC. Let's get to the video. Boom. Right, so here we've got the Ryzen 7 7800X3D. This is a CPU. It's a big boy CPU. Since this is an AMD build, I'm going for the Hellhound 16GB AMD Radeon RX 7800 XT. Should be pretty smooth. Motherboard, I've decided to go with Gigabyte P750GM Gaming X. I've heard good things about Gigabyte's motherboards, so we'll see what's going on. For my CPU cooler, I've gone for the Vetroo V240 Lexar. It's a liquid cooler, so should be able to keep my CPU cool under load. Now with my power supply, or PSU, I've decided to go with a modular one because I'm lazy and I thought it would look cleaner in terms of cables. I've gone with a Gigabyte, I think that says P750GM. It's an 80 plus gold, so it's, I guess, apparently good. Yeah, we'll see, I don't know. In terms of memory, I've gone for the SSD 6 by Intel. Quite a cheap SSD, it's 2 terabytes, or if you want to see the gigabyte version, you can see 2048 gigabytes. It's a you can see that M.2 80mm SSD, so it's going to go straight onto the motherboard. None of the hard drive business needed here. I also forgot to mention that the SSD came with some Norton 360 with Game Optimizer, which I guess we'll find out what that means, for 3 devices. That was quite a nice addition. I think this is what came with it, from what I remember. Okay, so I've also got these MasterFan MF120 Halos. It's a Cooler Master. So again, I've seen that this is a brand that's been going around RGB fans. Give a bit of color to the build. They're 120mm fan with duo ring addressable Gen 2 RGB lighting. So I guess we'll find out what that means when I put it together. In terms of RAM, I've gone for 32GB kit of 216GB sticks of RAM, DDR5. They're RGB as well, just to give a bit of lighting to the build. As you can see, it's got that light there, the RGB 2.0 as well. So similar to the fans. So this bad boy should look good when I've put it together and set it up. Okay, so now this may be a flop because this box is actually huge and kind of heavy. I'm a strong guy, but I'm telling you, this is kind of big. Pause. But yeah, we have the DF700 Flux Dark Fleet case. It's an Antec case. Finding the right case was one of the things that I took a while to do, I'll be honest, because you want the right size, you want it to fit everything, and you also want an easy build. So we're about to find out how easy of a build this is going to be. I also chose this case because it comes with some fans pre-installed. I think, as you can see at the back there, I believe 2 at the front where that case is hidden. But when I'm assembling this or taking it out of the box, we will find out what we're dealing with. An additional thing here, I've gone for some custom cables. I believe these are grey and black, so they're like extension cables. Should hopefully help with the build, make it look a bit more neater. I'm going to be heavy on cable management. I did mess up though, I didn't get any cable ties. We'll see how it goes. Only because I've got a bit of OCD, so I don't like things being messy if I can help it. But yeah, we'll see how useful these will be as I build it. So yeah. So yeah, we're gonna start with the Antec case. Kind of already cut it open, so I'm about to get it out and we'll see what we're working with. So again, this is my first PC build. This is the case. Looks pretty snazzy. You can see there's 3 fans here. I've got the magnetic dust filter here. It's on the top. Got some glass case where you can see you'll be able to see the inner workings and stuff. You can see a fan in there, another fan here. There's actually more fans than I thought. A slot here for the power supply unit. And then this little gap for where the motherboard stuff will stick through, okay? But yeah, looks like a solid build case. So let's get cracking. So the first thing I'm gonna do is take off this panel. You can see caution, tempered glass, please handle with care. So there's these thumb screws here and at the bottom, I think, here. So I'm gonna loosen them, take them off, and then take this off. All right, so you're gonna see that in a second. So this is what we're working with inside this case. Quite a bit of space in here, not bad. I've got a rear fan. I believe that's in exhaust mode. I'm not sure, but I guess we'll find out. I've got one for the power supply unit, shroud. I think I'm gonna take this one off. I don't know where I'll put it, maybe at the top, but I'm gonna take this one off because I've got RGB ones that I wanna put. I may either put 2 of them here or I may put 1 here and 1 there. I'll see how I'll feel. I don't know, I think these may be RGBs there. I can't remember. And then I've got 3 in the front, as you can see, 120mm. All right, so yeah, pretty decent. Also, I would say with screws, so you don't lose them. Get an empty box, it's an empty tissue box. You can just put screws in there so I don't lose them. Okay, so I'm also gonna now go ahead and remove this mesh from the front of the case. And there's these like rubber stoppers here as well, which I will be removing. So yeah, that's the next steps. You got the 3 fans here and these rubber stoppers. I'll remove them. Shows you the holes which you can put jacks and stuff in, as you can see. Ta-da. Right, so what I'm now going to do is loosen these 2 thumb screws so that I can slide this back panel out. We have the perforations here that allows air to come in. So I'm gonna do that now. So I've got this back panel, as you can see here, with the, I guess it's the RGB controller. All the wiring is quite neat. It's decent. We've got some straps here as well. So I was a bit worried at the beginning that I was gonna have none. So probably that's why I didn't buy any. On the actual thing I took off, this side panel, you can see it's a magnetic dust filter here as well. Okay, so let's talk about this case a little bit more, right? So as I mentioned before, here is a controller. It controls the RGBs and fans that are attached to the case. I already spoke about the straps. These things are pretty cool. You can take them off. Right, you take them off and you can mount a drive here. You've got this bottom bit, which is where your PCU will go down. Also, at the back or the bottom, there is a little tab, if I can actually, okay, goes down. And this is a filter for the power supply fan, so it catches dust and etc, etc. That's pretty cool. I've got more space down here for hard drives. Got this white box, which I believe is an accessory box, but get out with the hard drive case, because in this build, I'm not using any hard drives because I'm being all fancy with the M.2 SSD. So I'm gonna remove that by going under the case. 2 screws here, there's a screw there, and a screw here. I'm gonna remove those 2 screws and take the hard drive cage out. And now I can just remove this hard drive cage. In it, if it wants to come out, there's an accessory box, but I need to, oh, there we go. It's quite nice. And it has stuff inside it, I guess, that I may find useful. So we'll see that. Okay, so a little bit about the drive cage. You can install one by mounting it on the top, putting screws through it, the underside of it to keep it in place. And then when you're putting it inside, you can mount the drive inside it so you can have a top and inside. Now, because I'm looking to put this fan somewhere, and I want RGB, I'm gonna decide, or I've decided to remove this rear fan. So I will follow this wiring to where it is here and take it out. Like so. So you can see I've taken out this plug for that rear fan. There's screws, 4 screws holding this 120mm fan in place. I will unscrew it and take the fan out so I can replace it with this bad boy. I've actually come to the realization I probably should have bought 3 of these instead of 2. We'll see how it looks after, but I think I may have to go on Amazon and buy another one and add it later, but we'll see. At the back of the case, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this fan. So again, that's only if you're going to install your own fan. I'm only doing this because I am going to install my own fan. So it only makes sense. I'm gonna keep these somewhere safe so I don't lose them. Voila, you can see I've got the fan. Okay, so what I've decided to do is I'm gonna replace this fan with the RGB ones I've got. It is an altered fan and it's an intake mode. So the fan blades are pointing, I guess, towards us or in the reverse way. So it's gonna be intaking air from the case and cooling down the power supply unit beneath it. At the moment, I'm gonna run one fan here, even though I could probably run another fan here. Okay, do you know what? I'm gonna keep this. I run one of the RGBs here and run an RGB here at the back of the case. Then at the top will be the liquid cooler 2 fan system. And then we've already got the front RGBs as well. Okay, so you guys are wondering what was in the box. Got a bunch of screws for this one. So this one with the lip around the outside, I don't know if you can see it, things not focusing. That's generally used to mount the motherboard into the back of the case, but also for 2.5-inch drives. We then have these larger screws that look like this. They've got a larger head. You can see that properly. And they're generally used for mounting the power supply down at the bottom of the case. Right, we also have some case standoffs. These are normal fan screws. I checked some of them out earlier, got them in that box. And I've also got some long fan screws, and they're for fans that are going to be mounted at the top of the power supply, because you can see it's hard to actually get, like the smaller screws ain't going to fit all the way through. So you need these long screws to be able to do that. Finally, we have some cable ties for some cable management and Velcro straps for also cable management, and some literature which can help you with assembling this whole thing, but so far I'm doing okay without it. Right, so the case is more or less prepped and ready for us to install this motherboard onto it. But before that, we need to do some work on the motherboard, and that's what we're about to do. So I'll talk us through it. So yeah, I'm gonna open the box. We have this bad boy inside, look at it. Beautiful. So just in terms of additional extras, I've got a manual, which I'm gonna look at and read. I guess this is another one. And I've got some spare screws. You'll be able to see that. It's incredibly small. I've got this cable, which I'm not sure what that is. But what I am sure about is this is the Wi-Fi situation. So I can connect that up and it will be able to pick up Wi-Fi. This guide has quite a lot of diagrams. Quite helpful, just gives you the overall build of the PC. So CPU time, baby. Okay, so this is the CPU. I've got here the AMD instructions down here, as you can see. It says Team Red here as well, so pretty fun stuff. Now this bit is probably the scariest bit of the build, because if I damage this, I've basically thrown away 400 something quid roughly. Okay, so I am scared. Okay, so before I begin, oh, this is okay. See that top left corner? It's got that arrow. I'm going to match on the actual CPU, sorry, on the Apple CPU, that top right corner, you can see just about it's gold. I'm gonna match that in the same position as that. I'm gonna drop it in, okay? So how we're gonna begin is this lever. I'm gonna, I think, pull it out. Am I right? Wait, 1 sec, I'm scared. Okay, yeah, I'm right. So pull it out, facing me. I'm gonna lift up this lever. That was pretty scary, but I've got it in there now. So I'm gonna close it. Close it. I'm gonna use this little lever. I'm gonna try and put it back. Yep. There we go. And this plastic thing has come out. Ta-da! The CPU has been nicely installed. So it's time to install the M.2 SSD. Now I'm gonna take off this plastic case so that I can put my M.2 SSD onto the motherboard. So let's do this. Okay, I suppose open this up. Like so. And again, I'm gonna hold out the edges. Slight grooves in here. There we go. Right, so I had to come back to this SSD because I realized I kind of messed up. I need to put a screw here to secure the SSD in place and then put that case. Well, it's a massive deal, but I'm gonna do that anyway. So yeah, in the YouTube video, I will show this. I'll make a massive red note or mark on the video to ignore what I did first time because it was wrong. And this is how you should do it. So you can see I've secured that screw and secured down the SSD. And now I can put this bad boy on top of it. I've just put the casing for the M.2 SSD back on. Also, yeah, this is a heatsink. Forgot to mention that. So this helps to dissipate, so get rid of heat from the actual SSD that I've installed. Next is the RAM. I've got this Lexar RGB kit, like I said. So when I open this up, DDR5 16GB RAM I'm gonna be installing. As you can see here, there's a marking on the motherboard that tells you where to install 2 bits of RAM. If you're doing 4, it doesn't matter, but I'm doing 2. So that marking says I have to do it on the 2nd lane and the 4th lane. I'm gonna go to those lanes and click that back. Click these 2 things back. I wanna open the RAM. So as you can see, I've got the Lexar DDR5 RAM. Make sure these grooves are lined up, if you can see that, because otherwise it's not gonna work, is it? It's pretty noticeable here that I have to also take this clip down. So I'm gonna do that now. Here and here. Just make sure it lines up. Not quite, I think it's a bit off kilter. So I'm gonna flip the RAM the other side. And then let's see if it lines up now. That looks better, it looks like it fits better. So that one's there, I'm pretty happy. And then I'm gonna press down firmly. Okay, like so. Here you've got the next stick, I'm gonna line it up. I'll put that one on 2, so I'm gonna put this one on 4. Line it up and looks pretty stable to me. Put this CPU in, put the SSD in, M.2 one, and I've also put the 2 sticks of RAM on the 2nd and 4th lane if you're looking from the CPU. So I think it's time to look at the CPU cooler and preparing that, in my opinion. Now I haven't decided yet, but I'm gonna just take a look at the assembly of this a little bit, and I may assemble the first bit on the actual CPU itself and then put it on the case. Or I may just put the motherboard on the case first and then try and assemble this. But let me just take a look and I'll tell you what I've decided. So yeah, I've decided to do the liquid cooler, like a bit of it first and a bit of it on the actual CPU. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install these in the push direction. So I'll do that now. Make sure these wires are at the back. Alright, so I'm gonna get the other fan in. Make sure the screws are touching at the bottom. Okay. I'm not gonna lie, this water pump or pump cooler is a pain in the butt. I've managed to attach the two 120mm fans to the radiator. Okay, so we're about to put the motherboard into the case. It's time to put the screws in. First screw I'm going to put in is the one that goes in the center of the motherboard, so in here. See, I've put the screw in, so I'm going to screw that in. And then I'm going to get the other 8 screws into place. So there's one in the top right corner, there, hiding over there, down there, at the bottom, behind the fan here and here. So I've securely screwed in the motherboard. So I'm going to go into doing the case cables, which I'll explain in a second. And then I'll go into doing this bad boy here. So if you look closely, from these ports, there's the case cables. They run all the way down into my hands here. So these are what I'm going to be plugging in to the motherboard. Might as well get it done now, since I have a lot more space before I put all the other things in there. First cable I'm going to plug in is the HD audio cable down in that bottom left corner of my motherboard. So I'm going to get that in a second. Okay, so I'm passing it through. And I have to make sure I put it the right way around. You have to just match it with what you're about to plug it into. And I believe that's in, I think. Okay, so there's a 4-pin over there. And I'm gonna get the 4-pin cable for the fan so that the motherboard can control it. But I need to get this out of the way. It's kind of annoying me now. So yeah, so I've unscrewed that. So it gives me access to the 4-pin connector from the back. So literally I'm gonna do that now. It's in this orientation. Okay, there we go. Plugged in. I'm not gonna lie, this is where things get a bit techie. We have, that's a hard drive LED. It's gonna go into this bad boy here. Actually, it's gonna go in the bottom left corner. Best to do the bottom rows of these pins first, than the top ones, so you can see them. Obviously, everybody's motherboard may be different, so just check your motherboard instructions. I'll be honest, Gigabyte, I don't understand the hype behind it, because the documentation is trash. So the text is going to be facing downwards. Then the top row, we have power LED positive and power LED negative. I'm going to put that above where we just put the HDD, which is hard drive LED stuff down here, okay? So make sure you put it in the right positive and negative positions. I'm trying to get this done the best as I can. Positive one in there, I think. And the negative one next to it will be next to it. Again, I'm doing text facing down. Hopefully that's okay. So the last one, I don't know if you can see it. It's the right way around. No, it's not. It says power switch, the power switch cable. We're gonna plug them in next to the top two that we just did with the text. You can see here facing downwards. Note of this, right? So on this particular cable, you can see there's no positive, negative, but there's like an arrow here on the left side. So when you're putting the text facing down, make sure that arrow is going into the positive side of that pin, I guess. So So let's do that. Okay, there we go. And then put the cables back there. I'm going to connect one of the ARGB cables. So as you can see, it's a 3-pin. It's got a gap in between. So I'm going to connect at the bottom. It says LED for my cables, like so. Cool. Okay, so this is a USB 3.0 cable. As you can see, it has a notch on the top. So make sure you line it up with this guy over here with that little notch thing, so it can go in. Okay. I'm about to apply some thermal paste to the top of my CPU. Just spread it. Try and spread it evenly. I'm now going to take off the warning and I'm going to attach it. Attached the cooler to the CPU. I want to attach the top to the top of my case. It's got that attached now, which I'm pretty happy with. Tighten it further once I've attached the radiator to the top with some fan screws. So as you can see, the cooler has been successfully attached. So the cooler came with this, I guess, control hub kind of thingy. I'm going to connect the 5-volt 3-pin cables for the fans into here. Make sure you connect them the right way. And then second one, again, make sure it's connected the right way. Like so. Right, so there's cables that are coming out of the actual cooler that's attached to the CPU here. So I'm just gonna plug them in here. I'll be real, I'm just kind of spitballing with this one. So if it don't work, we'll find out. I think that's right, I hope. Don't know what this is. This is the connector, and I put it in the 5-volt 3-pin. Where in the world did I have it? Oh, it's behind here, it's hiding, okay? So I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna connect it in there. So you can see it's connected in there now. So I've got this splitter for the fans, and these 4-pin cables will go into these. Go the right way, this as well. Cool, so then this will go into this 4-pin connector for the fans. So this SYS interface, fan interface, is fan 1 on the top of the motherboard. Okay, so this will be connected to the CPU fan port there, so I'm gonna do that. Right, so it's PSU time. We're gonna get this bad boy out. So this is how it looks like when you open the box. Got power cable there, the power supply unit here, and then a bunch of other cables. Okay, so some plastic covering here. I'm gonna take this off. I'm gonna start by putting in the motherboard 24-pin connectors. Okay, so we have the motherboard 24-pin cable plugged in, and you can see the other side of that cable here. We have the, I believe this is the CPU cable for powering the CPU. This one here is powering the GPU. I don't know if I'm gonna need 2 of them or 1 of them, we'll find out. I've plugged it in here so you can see on my power supply. So upside down, that says CPU or PCIe, which is the PCIe, I guess, and this is the CPU. From what I've seen. And this is a peripheral one. This is for powering the fan hub, SATA cable. It's got a SATA cable on the opposite side here. So I'm now going to connect extensions to these. Right, so these are the extensions. I'm going to plug them into the ends of these. So you'll see at the front of the build, it just makes everything look nicer. Go for like a grey and black look. So let's do that. So as you can see, all of that's been connected here, here, and here. This is the graphics card. I'm just going to take a look at it because I need to, ooh, nice. I need to see the connector on it so it can help me with the power supply unit. So let me just check that out now. Right, so I figured out the cables by looking at my graphics card. Look at this beautiful graphics card. Yeah, so it's right over there. You can see those two 8x8 pins. That is your PCI cable you're gonna need to put in there to power the graphics card. I'm gonna put the power supply, this fan facing downwards, so then I can get fresh air into the case from this bottom bit. So let's do that now. Cool. Okay, it's done. This cable is the CPU power cable. I'm gonna plug it in the top left corner here. So as you can see, I've now connected that cable to supply power to the CPU. Okay, I've added some cable ties to this as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna connect the 24-pin motherboard power supply into the slot on the motherboard. That's now in. A bit of cable management. Pull that through. Looks all right. Right, so I've just realized that I need to use another 6-pin because I need another SATA power cable for the actual to power the cooler. So I'm gonna put that in somehow without taking this out because I can't be asked to take this out. I already screwed it in. You can see it's quite messy here, so I'm gonna try and also do a bit of cable management. I've got some cones in here in a second, but just wanna make sure everything gets plugged in when I need to get plugged in. So I'm gonna put these two together. Yeah, like so. Another SATA power cable. That's the PSU, the power supply unit. And that one powers it down here. Putting them two together as well. Like so. Bit of cable management, I guess. Okay, so now I'm gonna put these case fans. I'm gonna put one of them down here as a outtake and exhaust, potentially, and one of them out here as an exhaust. These three are intakes. And these two top ones, you can see them here. They're in, they're pushing out, so they're outtake as well, exhaust. First of all, I need to wire these through this top bit here. That looks all right. Put the second fan down here. Okay, so I've put one fan down here as an intake fan. I'll put another fan down here as an intake fan as well. Right, so we're gonna deal with the power for the fans I've just put in. Do the power first, and then we'll deal with the RGBs later. So for instance, for the top one, we have two cables coming out of it. This one is the RGB stuff, and this one is the power. It's a 4-pin, but we've only got 3-pin power down there, so we're gonna just line it up where it matches, basically. Like that. Again, just receive power here. Got the last fan power one I need to put together. It's a 3-pin one anyway, so it can go on top here. Right, so I've connected these two together here. And I'm gonna connect this bit to this side. This is for the RGB connections. Like so. Okay, now for the graphics card, I'm going to take these two thumb screws out. Take them out a little bit, slide this out. So now I'm going to remove the screws from the second and third slot. So with my motherboard, I think I can take multiple graphics cards. It looks like there's a slot here and these two at the bottom, but I'm going to put it here because allegedly you get the fastest speeds. So I'm going to open this up. I'm ready to install my graphics card. It goes here. So once I'm lined up, apply a little bit of pressure, and I'm there, sorted. So back here, I'm going to remove this completely. I'm going to use the screws that I used, removed when I was removing these guards, and screw them back in and have the graphics card securely in place. Okay, I decided to leave this back on, and I don't know why I took it off, so don't take it off basically. And voila, we're back to where we are. And if I turn the case over, we have the graphics card in place. Okay, what we're now gonna do is power the GPU, the graphics card. There we go. That looks pretty decent. Right, we're just gonna do some cable management, so make everything look nice and neat. Okay, it looks a bit tidier, as you can see. Cables have been more or less managed a bit more, I think anyway. Done an okay job. So yeah, put the back panel on. Put the front panel back on. Here's the finished product. About to find out if it boots tomorrow.
24 hours later.
Right, so this is not where it's gonna live, but the moment of truth, we're about to power this baby on. We've connected it to a shabby little hookup. Rolls up with a bootable Windows 11 USB in there. Connected the peripherals, so the keyboard and mouse. And I've got the HDMI cable going into this monitor and the power supply cable connected to the power supply. Let's see if it works. Okay. So far looking okay, I think. Fans are going. Yep, so fans are going, every fan is going. Bottom two are going. Left one's going. The RGB was on. It's looking interesting. It's looking interesting. So let's see if I can actually see anything here, because I see RGBs coming on and off. There's a red light. So it's powering. Okay, look at us. Right, so I added another RGB fan. So here's the finished build. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.